Well, to start with, I started out of really, it was an accident because I was doing judo, and after the judo class was an aikido class. So what happened was one time my mother was late to pick me up from the gym, so I stayed and I saw these guys change, put the hakama on and the gi, and they went on the mat. And I looked at it and thought, So when you get advanced in judo, you get to wear one of these. So that was kind of it. And then I'm watching and I'm like, well, it doesn't look quite the same. So, and then I asked one of the people what it was, and they told me it was Aikido. And I'm like, wow, this looks really, interesting. But I didn't start at that time. It was, months later, almost a year later. Anyway, so same thing happened. Mom forgot me, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to try it. So I had kept my gi on, and I went and asked the teacher at the time, who was, instructing, if I could stay and take the class. And they told me, sorry, well, we don't have children for Aikido classes. So, and then the main instructor was walking by, Mr. Ralph Reynolds, and he saw me, and I was standing there looking disappointed. I was like, oh, okay. And I said, and they asked him, is it okay if he does come on? And he looked at me and went, yeah, sure. And then as I walked onto the mat, I saw the hakama at the other end, the people, and I thought, oh, those are the guys I want to practice with. I just thought, oh, judo guys, aikido, I don't know. And I just walked all the way to the end, and I sat at the end with the black belts. And he looked at me and he went, no, you have to sit all the way down the other end. So I walked all the way back and sat down. And then I think that something clicked, and I looked and I went, one of these days I want to be able to be one of those guys sitting up there. So I know experience in that, and same when I was doing karate, we had sparring, so I was used to that. I did karate, started it a little bit older, and then once the judo started to die down, I started to do more karate and aikido. It was a good process being a teenager to get that part out of your system while you're trying to still work on something that has a little more, internal depth to it, yeah. And I found the two kind of went together. And then I drifted off karate and started to do iaido because I wanted to practice this sword work, because aikido has basic roots from sword or spear, so I wanted to study that too. So I started doing iaido at that time.
We saw during your training that you emphasize a lot in weapons training, and you said about building our roots with weapons training. What kind of thing do you think that only weapons training can teach? What kind of thing that you can't learn only by taijutsu?
Yeah, well, if you look at taijutsu by itself, it's movement. Sure, it's movement, and everybody's a little different. So there's shapes change because people are different sizes and different, strengths.
Yep.
So body movements can change. Is different. But within those body movements, there should be a basic root, a basic structure. And weapons teaches you good balance, good center, how to relax your shoulders, how to use your core, how to keep a flexibility in your joints so that you stand on your hips correctly. It gives you those basic things that you don't get just by itself, just doing taijutsu. It's important for me to know, to experience weapons, to experience, how to use the sword. That's why I did iaido, how to use a jo, because those things give you different qualities within your taijutsu. So it gives you a much broader understanding and a better look at the mechanics of things.
So you had the opportunity to train with several grandmasters of Aikido, Tamura Sensei, Chiba Sensei, Saito Sensei, Sugano Sensei, and Yamada Sensei. Is there some particular thing you can say about each one of them, that like the main thing you try to emulate for
Tamura Sensei had this real fine affinity for timing, because it wasn't very big, and you would go to touch him, but as soon as you touch him, you fall, you tippy toes, you're doing this, and you go, well, he hasn't moved, how come I'm tippy-toeing? He had this real fine understanding of how to, when someone comes to meet him, he always catches you just off balance. You're never really quite standing on your own. With Saito Sensei, it was mechanics. You know, he had a good structure, a good root. So weapons was a good the input with structured roots there. The same with Chiba Sensei, but what it was very expansive, and there was a connectivity to it. It wasn't just a form without your partner. The whole thing was an amalgamation of making the two respond and react together. So learning that. Yamada Sensei had a strong core center, and everything came into it, got spun out. You know, it's like he was same, really strong center, but big Tai Sabaki, big movement. So I saw movement in him, you know, the structure of how to move well. So all these things I just tried to put together in one body, you know, just try to emulate all of them. But the good thing about Yamada Sensei is because why, you know, being Uchideshi for him, he allowed me to experience my own Aikido. He didn't try to take control of it, you know. He allowed me a degree of trial and error, might say, using all these ingredients to find my own route, you know, my own feeling for it. And he was a good guide with that, you know. He was like, okay, that's a little too much, come back here, you know. Okay, that's good, keep doing that, yeah, come back again if you started to get a little too crazy. So he was a good, you know, he's a good leader in that manner, a good teacher.
Yeah. And when do you start to emphasize, to give more emphasis to Ukemi? Does Sugano Sensei had some influence on this?
Sugano Sensei was the same. Ukemi was important because it was timing again. He had the same, almost similar quality to Tamura Sensei had, but he was a bigger man, so he was much more dense, you know, when you made contact with him. So Ukemi, for me, Ukemi was important because for me, you know, they used me for Ukemi a lot when I was coming up, you know, teenage and being Uchideshi. So I had the advantage of the experience of feeling them, touching them, yeah? And the touching and feeling you remember those feelings, you remember those internal textures that they had to their practice, without me giving anything to it or making an assumption that I'll be thrown this way or that way. So it's about staying well, you know, as connective as possible, as relaxed as possible, and to give, you know yourself as a person, as an uke, sincerely, to truly feel what's going on in the movement.
And what kind of recommendation do you have for practitioners to improve themselves in Ukemi?
Besides practice? Practice. Aikido is 50% falling, 50% doing your technique. You should practice Ukemi just as much as you practice your Taijutsu. I think, personally, because you need to be able to experience the technique done correctly or fully, and you've got to be able to do the technique as Nage as openly and as freely as possible. So you need an uke that will give you, you know, that feeling. And then if anything changes in it, it allows you to respond to those changes easier. So being sensitive in Ukemi or Nage is in both, actually, gives you the ability to adjust to the movement, to listen to the movement, and to listen to the connection that you're feeling from your partner.
And you seem to put a lot of mental work on it because of the videos you create for Ukemi, and now you have the software, Aikido 3D. And what kind of response are you getting? Have you get from all these years with these
people
videos?
telling me, "Oh, you saved my joints," you know, because Ukemi I used to do it like this. Now I do it like this, and now I can still train, and I'm 60 years old, and I can still take Ukemi, you know. So that's really nice to hear from people, you know, like that they can still practice taking Ukemi and doing the technique, so they can practice both sides.
How do you think the software Aikido 3D can be? How these two should be used, and how do you see the future of teaching Aikido? Since you have this, you're a visionary.
Exactly. So people, you know, when it first came to me, it was just to do the Ukemi in a different way instead of just doing it as a film. We do it in a way where you can look at it from top to bottom. You can take the Hakama off. You can do it slow motion, fast. So just to have all these ways to look at it, so someone can study it So, and because of that, it's giving the person different ways to look at that situation. So maybe it gives them, some people can understand visually, some people need to understand by feeling it. Some people are very verbal, some people are very, if when you talk to them, it goes in there and comes out the other side, because they don't process things that way. They process it by touch or looking at it. So it's just giving different aspects or different tools to use to pass on information. But at the end of the day, we need to get on the mat and put everything into work, you know?
Here in Brazil, we have like half of our population are black people, and we don't see that many black people practicing Aikido. And you're one of the most famous Western Shihans, and you travel a lot around the world. Have you ever suffered some kind of prejudice or discrimination by being a black person, or because you're Jamaican, or some kind of situation like this?
No confrontations. I mean, I see prejudices around me, but I mean, it's never been like thrown at me where I've had to physically confront anything like that. No.
Within Aikido world?
No. We're all, to me, everybody's doing Aikido. So, and if they did, they didn't show it. I didn't see it. So for me, I just pay no attention to things like that. You know, we got to move up past those kind of things. So.
Do you think, in somehow, Aikido can help us to face this kind of situation, discriminations, to reduce tensions?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's great. You can go on the mat and practice with all different types of people, and I think that's a beautiful thing. That's one of the things I like about Aikido, that you can mix and train with different people, go different places and train within different cultures, and experience them as a people. So yeah, I mean, because you're dealing with people, you're dealing with the connection with people. When you come on the mat, people could have had a bad day at work or something like that, and they come on the mat with all that, and then after class, all that seems to dissipate because all that energy has been taken away and put into a structured thing, a practice where everybody's trying to work on themselves in the same manner, trying to make themselves better people and grow better inside, to understand everybody and work together with everyone, work well together.
I saw an interview of you saying that you consider Aikido a living thing.
Yeah.
many years ago.
Yeah.
And being a living thing, how do you see the growth of your personal Aikido?
I think when I started, I was more of I had to know it worked, so I was very physical in my practice, so I did things in a certain way, so I knew that this thing worked, and it's like it had to, and if I didn't, that would bother me. So everything was very, even though I practiced very strongly physically, and in a very martial manner, But then after a while, once you go through that process, and okay, I can do that. What else more is there? So then you tend to look at everything, go, okay, step back a little bit and look at it, and I go, okay, that's good, but look at all these other facets about Aikido which I could be inputting in this. So it made me go, oh, okay, I can do that, fine. Now let me study all these other attributes of Aikido, and then put everything together, put everything there together. Think about my center, my balance, ki. I never use ki in the sense of word, that internal power, because it's really about relaxation, and that you have a good connectivity to your body and how you feel it, and that you're aware of everything that your body is doing. In the basic sense, to me, that's what really ki is, what that thing is, because you really understand how personally how your body works, and what it's doing, and how it's functioning when it's moving, and not just fixed on doing something, doing this shihonage or this ikkyo or whatever. It's what it's feeling, what you're feeling while you're doing it.
There was Was there some kind of experience that was the turning point for you between this physical approach and then from this other?
Yeah, because I'm looking at my teachers and I'm looking at them, oh, what this person is, I'm 25 then and they're like 50 or 60 and they, they can still do that the way that, where is that power coming from? Because they're not physically strong guys in the sense of, dense and have muscle, but it's like when they throw you, you go, oh, you feel it. So where is that energy coming from? Where is that power coming from? Each one of my teachers used it differently. Some you could really feel. Some it was very very subtle. Some it was about where the balance was, and all of a sudden it would change its tempo and speed. Things like that. So I was like, well, it can't be just being strong and martial. There must be something. Once you've attained the martial side, if you want to, why do we keep studying this? So there must be more to it. So I just started investigating more in me what Aikido actually really means to me and where would I want to go, and the fact that when I'm that age, 70, 80, I want to still be able to do what I do and pass that on. And not to let that go, because I think Aikido is becoming very technical and in a way losing its internal aspect in a lot of ways, because not many people practice their Aikido with that feeling. They do it with a physical feeling of, like I used to practice way back, and I go, okay, that's good. But eventually that has to change. If you're relying on that all the time and then you get to 50 and your body doesn't move that way with that kind of, then you've got to start thinking about what you're doing.
Yeah. And would you have some tip regarding this for Brazilian practitioners? Something that you see and you think, is there something cultural here? You said, you should practice more this or that. When you say that it's becoming very technical.
The technical information is there. It's out there. There's good technicians practicing around in Brazil. But it also needs good people that can show good technical aspect of movement, but show it with a sense of how with feeling, not with the physical expectation of the movement, saying, well, I can pick the person up and I can throw him across the room. Sure, okay. But there's more to it than just doing that. Someone that can study internally what's going on with their own Aikido and be able to translate that to the students as best way they possible, so the students also get to understand there is an integral aspect to the art, and not just the physical manifestation of saying you're defending yourself. Say, there's more to it than that. It's more about self-control, your center, your whole demeanor of how you are as a person. That you're dealing with things without aggression, without thinking that you have to be destructive to that person. You're doing it out of, for want of a better word, doing it out of love for them being a fellow human being. You don't necessarily have to be friends with them, but they're human just like you. We all live on this planet. We all need to be here together. So we must get on, Otherwise, we destroy ourselves. So we have to look at things more in that manner and use Aikido as a tool to bring people together, to practice how to find that aspect of themselves internally in the practice. Mm-hmm. Yeah.